Hey, how's it going, everybody? It's Ryan. I'm going to talk about muscle imbalances again. And I put out this video, I think last week, and it was kind of offering to people free assessments. I got 6 people, and I did assessments on 3 of them. I did basically a program, what stretches you need to do, what you need to foam roll, essentially what you need to fix, so that way you can fix all your broken stuff, and that way you can keep lifting heavy and get stronger without hurting yourself. And I thought it was pretty interesting. It was kind of something I basically do at the gym already, but I'm doing it online. And it's not, I guess you call it coaching, but it's not really like I'm coaching you for an extended period of time. It's just a one-time thing. You can send me emails if you have questions about specific things pertaining to, you know, the muscle imbalances. I go over an NASM overhead squat assessment, taking a look at what's tight and what's weak, and explaining things to you. I've done 3 assessments, and here's what I've learned. I've actually done more than 3 assessments, but this is a very in-depth review, writing out programs for people. And what I'm realizing, or what I already know, but just kind of sharing with you, is that everyone's imbalances are very similar. There's very specific nuances with each person, though, to keep in mind because of injury and previous habits and lifestyle and things like that. But I kind of want to just share my findings so that you can get a feel for it. And in the future, if you're interested in doing like an assessment, overhead squat assessment, I will probably offer this in the future. I'm planning to. I just have to organize everything, and then start selling it in case you're interested in purchasing that. But even if you decide not to, it's not going to hurt my feelings. It's really meant for someone that wants that kind of attention and help. By all means, continue to consume free content, because a lot of the videos I make and videos you can find, you can basically figure it out on your own. But this is one of the biggest issues. Overarching, because we always hear that hip flexors are tight, makes your back go into your pelvis into anterior pelvic tilt, makes your back arch. Or if your shoulders round, you have kyphosis, and you have a rounded shoulders, and it gives you shoulder impingement. One of the things that causes shoulder impingement. You want to push your knees out. Your adductors are tight because your knees are buckling in. You want your feet to be straight when you squat, stuff like that. So these are things that are very general. And when I do an overhead squat assessment for someone, I really dissect it down specific for them. Now, a lot of the things you've heard in the past, or things that you may be learning now, are all fairly true. Some things are a little bit more important than others, like for example, hip flexors being tight. But it all depends on where you're at as an athlete or as someone that trains, that works out hard. And the thing to understand is that the major thing that I've noticed in people in these 3 assessments, these are all very strong people. So they're not like typical person that I would train in a gym, because most people I train in the gym are not really like the ones I did assessments on online, right, for free, as just kind of occurred just a trial, right, as my pilot. Is that asymmetrical weight shift, when people squat and they shift to one side. When that happens, it makes it so that it stresses the joints under lots of load. So if you have weight on your back, you're going to shift more and more to one side. But when the weight's heavy, you're not going to shift that much. So light weights, you're going to shift. But when the weight's really heavy, you can't shift. If you shift, you're going to, at 85-95%, you're going to collapse. You're going to fail the lift. You're going to make some movement faults. And when you shift, typically the side that you shift towards, the knee is buckling in. It might not buckle a lot, but it's going to go in a little bit. The ankle will flatten, or the foot will flatten, so the arch will flatten. The foot may or may not turn out more, but it doesn't matter. If you're shifting to the left or shifting to the right, that side that you're shifting at, the knee is buckling in, or it's wanting to buckle in. The inner thigh is tighter, and the ankle, or the foot, is wanting to give out. But because you're probably wearing Olympic weightlifting shoes, or you're wearing shoes, so some sort of support, it's sort of helping you not collapse, though your body wants to collapse. The other thing too is that when you shift, just in this example, shifting to the left, the TFL is very tight, the lateral quad is tight, and it's making you shift to that side, and it's making you load the entire one side of your body more so than the other. Now, if you're doing low volume, it's going to actually be okay, because you can actually correct some stuff. But because you're focused on staying straight, staying tight, it's just when you begin to fail, you start to shift, right? Because if you have a very tight core, what's going to happen is you're going to stay center, and you're not going to shift a ton, right? When I do an assessment for people, I basically have people do like 60 or 70 squats, and so there's a little bit mild fatigue. They're typically not really holding on, they're not tightening their stomach up a ton. And the thing I see the most is the feet will turn out. If they squat on one leg, they'll keep their foot straight, but their knee will buckle in. They'll rotate their body. And that just tells me a lot about kind of what the faults in people are. And one fault that I've noticed recently been doing in the gym is that people's ankles are horrible. They're so bad, and we all know they're bad, but they are worse than you realize. Because if you can fix your ankle mobility and fix your flat feet, you're going to be able to stay more upright in the squat. You know, if you really focus on that, people think, I had this one comment someone asked about, I said that, oh, the reason why your ankles are messed up or your ankle mobility is bad is because it's originating from your anterior pelvic tilt of your hips. It doesn't work that way, because the hips, the structure of, because think about it, if you're squatting, your feet are the first thing on the ground. You're squatting. Even if you're into anterior pelvic tilt, that's not going to really change. You're going to want to stay over your midfoot no matter what. And if you're missing dorsiflexion, that means bringing your knee forward. The only thing that's going to work is staying over the middle of your foot. So you're going to shift your body back, sort of like a low bar squat. So in essence, for some people, a low bar squat works because you're able to lean forward in good morning, or almost deadlift the weight, so to speak. Or maybe even look at it as you're basically sumo deadlifting a back squat. Because it allows you to keep a more vertical shin, because you don't have good dorsiflexion, which is the knee going forward or the toes going up. So work on your ankles. That's really it. You foam roll the lateral calf, the lateral gastroc, work on the soleus, you stretch the calf, and you do that every day. You do that for a month, and you're gonna have ridiculous improvement. There are other advanced strategies, like doing a banded distraction stretch, like some of the stuff I recommend to coaching clients, or for the assessment that I did for other clients that I trained. Everyone's individual situation is a little different. The biggest difference is if you decide to get coaching when I offer it, and if you're interested, just leave a comment, that way I can get an idea for what people are interested in, is that I'm going to be able to dissect it so it makes sense for you and specific to you in small nuances. Even though the general thing I'm teaching is going to be the same, it's going to be a little bit different, because you're going to perceive it different because it's specific to you. And a lot of the time when you buy coaching, like when you get coaching for macros or dieting or powerlifting, you just need someone to tell you what to do, and you need to believe in the product or the service, because a lot of the time you can look up all this information. There's so much information, and I guess it's confusing. It's information overload, but a lot of the time you need something that's definite, that's concrete, that works. And that's sort of the whole idea of why you'll get coaching. But my point of saying all this is understanding that the biggest problem I've noticed amongst the people that I did, the 3 people that I trained, that I did online kind of consultations for overhead squat, is ankles are horrible. You fix the ankles, it makes a big difference in the squat. Then you can tackle the inner thighs, you can tackle the piriformis, but those are probably the most important things that need to be fixed, because the ankle, the ankle is such a rigid structure that when it begins to lose ground and lose position, it's going to end up, you're going to shift, because the ankle is such a strong, the Achilles tendon is a fully load-bearing, weight-bearing muscle, unlike, you're on it all the time, so anyways, it gets really ugly and it gets really ropey and really tight. So those are just some thoughts. Hope you found it interesting. Hope you got some little bit about it. I know I was all over the place with it. Leave a comment below, and I'll see you guys on the next video.